David Walker was born a free African-American in Wilmington, North Carolina on September 28, 1785. Although he was from the South and his father was a slave, his mother was free, which benefited him from slavery. During his early adulthood, David was exposed to the cruelty of slavery because he was living in the South throughout his life. He left Wilmington at a young age as a literate man. He witnessed whippings and killings, which completely changed his perspective on slavery. Therefore, slavery was a main concern in his life. In his adulthood, Walker had some influences to be an abolitionist. First, as I said before, he witnessed the brutality of slavery. Secondly, he was influenced by the famous black writer, Robert Alexander Young, who encouraged blacks to use violence against the whites. Finally, he was influenced by looking at Thomas Jefferson's famous document, the Declaration of Independence. David was bewildered on Thomas Jefferson's thoughts of equality among the blacks, and David wanted to state that blacks aren't inferior to whites. Walker attacked Jefferson's thoughts of inferiority of blacks by quoting, "Let slaveholders come to beat us from our country. America is more our country than it is the whites. We have enriched it with our blood and tears." When Walker grew older, he finally settled in Boston when he was around 40 years old. As a living, he opened a used clothing store. He also had other jobs to help the black community. He became an agent for the Freedom Journal in 1826. The Freedom Journal was an abolitionist newspaper. He also helped fugitives from the Underground Railroad by giving them clothes. In addition to that, he was leader of the Colored Association. In 1829, the 44-year-old created his most notable piece of work. It was called Walker's Appeal. The Appeal was a pamphlet that told readers about starting revolts against the Caucasians, giving black readers hope, and stopping colonization. Many abolitionists didn't agree with Walker's violent suggestions, but many other people did agree. The Appeal deeply impacted Southern society. Many states banned literacy among slaves because the Southern government was afraid of revolts occurring. Southern officials created posters stating if his head was brought to the South, the killer would get $3,000, and if someone brought him to the South alive, the kidnapper would get $10,000. On June 28, 1830, Walker was found suspiciously dead. Nobody knows what caused his death. By the end of his life, all he ever wanted to do was help the black community. He wanted people to start violent revolts and end slavery. In the end, he changed many people's lives. About a year after he died, Nat Turner rebelled, and one of his influences was David Walker's Appeal. David Walker was a man who always had wanted to free the black slaves, and tried everything in his capability to do that. That's why Walker reminds me of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was a man in the 60s who fought for civil rights. They both fought to state that blacks aren't inferior to whites, and in the end, both of them got what they wanted.